We'll be going over IRS Notice CP74. This is the notice that you should expect to receive from the Internal Revenue Service if you've successfully recertified for a tax credit that you previously claimed and were disallowed in the past. So, as a little bit of a backstory, you generally won't see this tax notice unless you've previously been served something like a CP79, CP79A, one of these other tax credits, and we'll put links in the show notes we'll put links in the show notes to some of these IRS notices that you might have received in a prior iteration where the IRS either disallowed your tax credit, they applied a 2-year ban because of an intentional or reckless disregard for the tax rules, or a 10-year ban in the case of fraud. So what this notice basically says is you've done the paperwork correctly and you don't need to do anything else in order to get back into, I guess, a good status with the IRS regarding your tax credits. So let's walk through the form and we'll talk a little bit about the tax credits that would be at risk and kind of what you would need to do in order to get back into good standing with the IRS. So in the upper right hand corner is information about the tax notice, again CP74 for the 2018 tax year. The notice date was January 26 of 2019, and then other personal information such as a social security number. So I always encourage people to pay particular attention to the notice date. In this case, it's not really that much of an issue. You don't really have any time sensitive things to worry about, but it is a good practice. And then on the left hand side is your taxpayer name, address. So I always encourage people to keep your address up to date, particularly if you've relocated shortly after filing your tax return. When you file your tax return, the IRS will usually update your tax record with your new address if you change your address on your tax return. So that keeps your file straight. But if you've been receiving correspondence and you are moving, but it's going to be a period of time before your next tax return, you should either call the IRS, validate your information, and change your address over the phone, or you can file the official IRS change of address notice. For individuals, that's IRS Form 8822. For businesses, it's IRS Form 8822-B. And we'll put links in the show notes to content that we've created about those tax forms, as well as anything else we discuss here. So the history behind this is that someone may have been previously denied one or more tax credits. And these are all refundable tax credits, meaning that you can receive a tax refund in a year where you did not incur a tax liability. So that's called a refundable tax credit. And so if there's a refundable tax credit, there's a non-refundable tax credit. A non-refundable tax credit can reduce your tax bill dollar for dollar. So if you have a $500 tax credit, then that would reduce your tax bill by $500. However, a non-refundable tax credit can only take your tax liability down to zero. A refundable tax credit, such as one of these tax credits here, the earned income credit, the child tax credit, the additional child tax credit, the credit for other dependents, and what's not listed on this notice, but the American Opportunity Tax Credit is also a refundable, partially refundable tax credit. So those tax credits mean if you had a $500 tax credit, if your tax bill was only $200, it would not only bring your tax bill down to zero, it would actually create a $300 refund. So taxpayers who have been deemed to abuse these tax credits, either by committing fraud to claim a tax credit on behalf of someone that isn't even a legitimate family member, or someone that just completely disregards the tax rules, can receive a ban from the IRS. And that's not so much a subjective call by the IRS. It's more of a rules-based. If this happens, then the federal law forces the Internal Revenue Service to place bans under certain conditions. And if you've been banned, then you would need to file IRS Form 8862, which is the information that you to claim certain credits after a disallowance. You file that with your tax return when you are eligible to. So you can't even do this during a ban. You would have to do this the first year that you're eligible after the ban has lifted. And then you would include that information as well as your ordinary tax information, such as Schedule EIC for the Earned Income Credit, Schedule 8812 for one of these child tax credits, or IRS Form 8863 for the American Opportunity Tax Credit. So there's nothing that you need to do. You should receive your refund within 6 weeks, as long as there's no tax offset where your tax refund may be garnished to claim your tax refund may be partially or completely garnished to pay off debt that you've accrued somewhere else, such as child support or like state unemployment, Social Security overpayments, or Medicare payments, things of that nature. There's an entire list of different tax debts that can be where your refund can be garnished to do that. So as long as that doesn't apply to you, you should receive your full refund. So the additional information here is, it does say you don't have to complete Form 8862 to claim those tax credits that you've just been approved for. However, you would need to complete Form 8862 if you were going to claim the American Opportunity Tax Credit in the future. So do take the time to read the form. Just because no action is required doesn't mean you shouldn't read through it. So if you got disallowed because your first child went through college and you improperly claimed this tax credit, but you have a second child that's a few years behind, just keep this note in mind for the future, that when you eventually go to claim the American Opportunity Credit for that child, you would have to complete Form 8862. And then we're going to wrap up this video simply by just taking a look at this IRS link. There's probably not a whole lot of additional information. This basically covers the same stuff that we saw in the letter. There are some FAQs and then links to other publications if you're interested. So, which tax credits does this notice apply to? It lists all the ones that we just talked about. You can call the IRS if you don't receive your refund within 6 weeks. So I think that's all we have for this notice. Again, we'll put links in the show notes to the articles and the videos that we've created that are relevant to this topic. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.